Please tell us your name.
Name là Jamyang Damo Jamyang Pamo. And then in English is its passport is Jamyang Sakya.
Jamyang Sakya.
That's what came.
Okay.
But my name was given to me day I got married with Dagchen Rinpoche. My father-in-law, teaching on Tudong, to give me the Jamyang Pema Paj Puti, long, which means the Jamyang Pema Paj Puti, which means the God of wisdom, which is the Manjushri, and bring lots of sons.
Oh, how beautiful.
And it was too long, so we short it.
Bring lots of sons.
Yes.
The bringer of sons, the bearer of sons.
Yes.
His Holiness the Dalai Lama asked us to record your experiences so that we can share your memories with many generations of Tibetans, the Chinese, and the rest of the world. Your memories will help us to document the true history, culture, and beliefs of the Tibetan people. Do you give your permission for the Tibet Oral History Project to use this interview?
I'd be very happy to do, especially His Holiness the Dalai Lama's wish, whatever there is we can do, yes.
Oh, thank you for offering to share your story with us. During this interview, if you wish to take a break or stop at any time, please let me know.
Sure.
And if you do not wish to answer a question or talk about something, let me know.
Okay.
If this interview was shown in Tibet or China, would this be a problem for you?
I don't think so.
Okay. We are honored to record your story and appreciate your participation in this project.
Thank you.
So, let us begin. Dagmo Kusho, which is the name given to you when you married Dagchen Rinpoche. Let us begin by asking, where were you born?
I was born in the Kham, in the province of Jekundo, Ga province, and a little small village called Thalung.
And what year were you born?
I was born Wood Dog year in 1934.
1934. And can you tell us something about that village, Tarlam?
Mm-hmm.
Were there many families there?
That time when I was growing there, there's I think about 50 families, and below the big monastery, Thalung monastery, which is like 400-500 monks, which are my uncle's monastery, and the town is just below.
The town is below.
Mm-hmm.
So the nearest temple was Taklam Monastery,
Yes,
is that what you
Thalung
said?
Monastery.
And the province is?
Ga province.
Is that
Jekundo.
Is that Kham?
Kham. Yes,
It's in
Kham.
Kham.
In Kham.
In Kham, I see. And tell us your father's name.
My father was Gombotse, and which I can't remember much because he had to go back to Siling to his mission, and I never saw again. And
what kind of a mission?
well, he, in the Ga province is under the what do you call the Chinese? It's belong to the province of the Chinese.
Of
yes,
the Chinese.
It's part of Tibetans, Buddhist, but it's the power of Chinese.
I
At
see.
time of Chiang Kai-shek.
During Chiang Kai-shek.
Yes, Chiang Kai-shek time.
And he had to
So
go
my
back.
father was governor of the Jekundo for 3 years.
Really?
I think he has a turn for people liked him so much, so he had a turn, second turn. During that time, my mother married him.
I see. And your mother's name?
My mother's name is Phuntsok Phodrang.
Phuntsok Doma. And where was she from?
She's from Kham.
She's from Kham too.
Same.
I see.
Yeah, same house, same place we were born.
So in terms of the actual family structure and finances, like for a living, your father was like a minister, a representative of
of the Jekundo, yes.
Of the Jekundo,
The province of the
of that province,
yes.
the governor's province.
Yes.
I see. So was your family before that, were they well off? Were they farmers? Were they poor? What was their
Well,
status?
they have, I don't recall the riches, but they are well off.
They were well
You know, we all are very comfortable and happy. In my youth time, I remember that is just, you know, they have farms and lots of nomad animals. And I spent summertime in nomad and wintertime home with my family.
Really? Did your family, were they nomads?
Well, they're not nomad, but they have a nomad. This is the my hometown. Usually, Thalung people, they have animals, lots of yaks and deer and the sheep. And they summertime they goes like 3 months in the nomad, stay there.
And the nomads come to your area in the
then
summertime.
The winter time they come back and stay in the home and to do. So nomads, so the servant they take care of the animals.
I see. How many besides your parents? How many children were in your family?
My family, my mother has 2 sisters and the 2 brothers. 2 brothers both become, one is Tuku, Lama, and 1 monk. And my 2 her sisters, one become nun. And then 1 married, and she doesn't have children. So I was the only child.
You were the only child, of your parents?
And my parents, yes.
And as the only child, were you treated in a special way?
Yes, I was told at those times I was spoiled girl too. But I was pretty much tomboy.
Were you a tomboy? Tell us a little bit about your childhood. People who've never been to Tibet and didn't grow up in Tibet, they would not even be able to picture it. So can you paint us a picture of what you would do on a daily basis? What was your schedule, your activities?
Well, my life was a little unusual than the regular children because my uncle and wanted me to study the religion as the reading and writing things because my time there's no girls' school and many girls not chance to learn and except the nuns. Nuns have nunnery. My aunt has nunnery.
Yeah.
And so I was sent to a private teacher with the 6 young boys, 6 or 8, I can't remember exactly, maybe 8. So I was the only girl there. And so that's how I learned my reading and write.
How did the boys treat you?
Not very good. I was the last one, everything, and I think I was pretty smart because our teacher gives us the assignments and practice with the memorize lots of religious mantras things, and I always very good. And when teacher sits in the next room, we have to do our room is different. So when I said the boys are telling me we don't want girls sounds too loud, so they're even telling me. I wasn't, but I tried to, be there.
You had to be brave.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I think I was.
Did you ever say to your mother, I don't want to go to the school?
Yes. So one time, this is in monastery, and the teacher was a relative of us. So he has, in the side of a monastery, has a big temple, and we have study class, and then the students, all the boys, they are like become monks later. And so in the Tibet and any maybe other country religion too, the Tibetan people when they sick or died or something always brings 2 offerings to monastery, and the offering for the monks, all kind of delicacy, soup, rice, and very Tibetan tea serves all the monastery, and this in our glass we get that, and but I don't get because I'm a girl.
Yes.
And so then my teacher sometimes shares some portion from me, but the boys always say they always kind of shows me, see what do we get of a boy. So it's, I feel like very lonely. So I went back to my uncle and I said, I'm not going because I'm not happy. I can't get all the drink and eat. And so I'm not going. Then my uncle said, come here. And he said, you know where those offerings, all the delicacies come from? I said, yeah, I know the families and they're giving all the offering, even sometimes a little money. And he said, that is brings for somebody died or somebody sick and ask a pray. And that's poison if you eat. He said, if accidentally eat a teacher share, you have to do some mantra, pray for this person. Otherwise it goes poison. So I felt better.
You felt better.
I'm not taking poison. So then I went back again.
So you went back again. Did the boys eat the food, though?
Of course.
They didn't think it was poison.
No.
It sounded like he tried to make you feel better about not taking
because
it.
I don't want. Otherwise, I didn't want to go.
Right. When children were outside playing, though, maybe outside of school, were the boys and girls, did they get along better? Did they treat each other nicely?
Oh, it's very happy. I like Dashi Rinpoche mentioned when you remember youth.
Yeah.
I remember more my youth now than yesterday. It's a really happy time. Even the boy, I did almost whatever we have in the Tibet. Those times they call harvest hay. Piled like over story high, and we jump on those, and I did everything like the boys did.
You did.
And go at ice skate and all these rivers.
Oh my goodness.
And I got lots of injured and cut things, but I did it like the boys. But it was a really happy time.
You were like a tomboy, you said.
Yes, and then
what age did you start? But your uncle was a
5
monk.
or 6 until 10.
5 or 6 until 10.
Yeah.
And it was because your uncle was a special. Was he a
He's
reincarnate?
he's Duku, head of the monastery, and his uncle was my great uncle. My great uncle was the one who really supported me more. My uncle was busy with traveling and the teaching, but my great uncle.
He supported you.
Yeah, supported me. He saw something I'm different than.
He saw that you were different somehow.
Yes, I was different because, for example, like when I was young, I had dreams, so many dreams like we do, and sometimes dreams like the big house with the wing flying, and sometimes dreams the tall buildings, almost see the sky. And later I came to America. I saw that in New York. And then at those times I never even heard about airplane. I think it's the house with the wing, this airplane. And when I tell my uncle all my stories and other, the dreams, he always write down, and then what? Then he question. But when I tell my parents and my other family, they say, "Oh, you always do funny dreams."
Yeah.
Who cares?
But they were like omens. They were preparing
I think
your
there
mind.
are something coming things.
It's like something was coming. So you went to school roughly from like 5 to 10?
Yes.
About 5
about
to 10.
5 years, I think.
About
5 years.
years. Did you go every day?
Almost every day.
Really?
Almost sometime in the summertime I go to nomad. Otherwise, almost every day.
That was more fun in the
Yes,
summertime.
more fun.
You went out with the nomads?
Nomads, I was treated because even my mother sent me the field trip, field with our servants to make, the cutting harvest.
Oh, really?
And she sent it with them. And I enjoy very much because you can see, and they always treat me carrying the bag. And when I go nomad, and then we do the milking, making butter.
Did you learn?
I learned all of those.
Oh.
Everything with manual. But I'm telling my niece who came from Tibet, she know nothing. She said everything machine now.
Everything's
Everything.
machine.
She said her mother tells us, otherwise there's nothing. Everything we had to do in the hand. And I learned all those because my mother was very smart. My aunt, she said, we only have one daughter, and she has enough for living the money, so don't let her go to work or teach. Anything, don't need it. My mother said, even she doesn't need it, she learns so she can teach. So my mother sent her all these places.
Isn't that it?
And
She was very wise.
Very wise, I can see. Cooking, milking, knitting, spending. My grandmother was the teacher of the spending. She goes different town to towns to do the weaving.
Really? Spinning. So she was a spinning teacher.
Spinning the wool and then weave and makes it different special ones, not just regular one. Of course, in the Tibetan we wear only wool and things. We don't have any of the outside material.
Did you learn spinning?
Yes.
You did. So you learned how to make
Making,
buttermilk. You learned spinning.
Yeah, making butter, spinning, milking from the D, and how to make butter. I learned all of those.
You did that was great. So what happens when you, well, let me go back just to school. Was it all memorization? Did you learn how to write and read?
Not so much writing.
Not so much writing.
Only reading and then memorize. Memorize. Most Buddhist texts pray. And I memorized lots, and I don't really know what I was doing.
I was going to say, so
mantras.
They were prayers. So they were
mantras.
Tibetan. So you understood the words, but
not the religious words and regular is different.
Oh,
the mantras is completely different. But we know we do pray that doing the mantras, it will help.
Could you give us a sample of like one of the mantras that you maybe had to memorize? Can you tell?
For example, like it's what they call 100 syllable mantra. Bajasato Samaya, Manupalaya, Bajasato Tenopa, Titedro Mebawa, Sudokuyu Mebawa, Anorato Meba, Subokuyu Mebawa, Sawa Sidi Mebara Yenza, Sawa Kama Sutsam, Sidam Sharia, Kurhum, Ha Ha Ho Bagawan, Sawa Tatangatam, Beza Mamimins and Bezibawa, Mahasamaya Sado Ah. That's 100 syllable.
So you just shared with us a mantra that you had memorized as a child. And I was curious, when did you learn the meaning of that mantra? How many years before you understood?
Most mantras is the Lord Buddha Shakyamuni talk. We don't translate. We know it's good, but we know each deity has a different mantra. For example, like Tara Untare Tuitare Tore Sowa, and Genesi Omane Pemehum, Manjushir, like Marapatsanati, each of us, we know which deity we're doing. So wherever we need, if we need some help by the saving out something, or the compassion, Genesi, or somebody passed away to pray. So we know that, but we don't know exactly word by word. Right. But the 100 syllable, when I said that kind of semi-translated, because so Westerners can, when every puja we do, they do. And then they do also the in English meaning and transliteration.
They do. And little children, what are they taught to do if they see, like you were mentioning, if they see a little bug on the ground, what do they do?
Yeah, when children we start, first thing we teach, children, some kind of names like Omane Pemehum or Sangye, like the Buddha bless you. And when they started 2-3 years, they started with Omane Pemehum. Even they didn't know.
They didn't know.
They didn't know Omane Pemehum.
For
that's
people
the teach.
Who might not know, can you translate what Om Mani Padme Hum means?
Well, the Om Mani Padme Hum is a 6th syllable of the Lord of Compassion, Genesis mantra. And we in the universe, we're living with the 6 realms of universe. The God, demigod, human, healed realm, animal realm, and hungry ghost. Right. So this 6 syllable, each of those relieve their suffering. All the 6 realms are suffering. even the high realm, God realm, demigod realm, human realm, we are the ones who has the most opportunity to become true and reach the Buddhahood.
Yes.
But we still have suffering, the birth, aging, and death,
Right.
and lots of others.
Yes.
So that this mantra will help.
Right. That would. So that's taught from very early, and to very end of one's life.
And then the child who don't speak very good, we teach like Manjushri's mantra, Marapasana D, and then Satara mantra. We teach that. So the children, even they didn't know the meaning, lots of knows the mantra.
They would know it. Isn't that? That's very important for the tradition and for the development of them spiritually. So, what happens to you when you finish school at around 10? Or you stop going?
Well,
where do you go?
Well, my uncle, Deshung Rinpoche, in Tibet, my husband's father, His Holiness Ngawang Toto Wangchu, is the head of the Sakya set.
I see.
So all the Sakya lamas from Kham, everywhere, in many thousands monasteries, and the head of the monastery has to go get some teaching from him.
Yes.
So get some special paper, blessing. Then they even come higher. So my uncle want to go to receiving that from His Holiness Ngawang Toto Wangchu, Sajatinzi. And so he went a year earlier. The following year, all our family followed pilgrimage in the West, and then it had stopped it.
And you went when you were 10 years old?
Yes. I was between 10 and 13, I think I was helping nomad and a family, doing some other things. But I was 13 when I left.
When you went on the pilgrimage?
Pilgrimage.
So with the nomads from 10 to 13, then around 13, 14,
13,
you went on the pilgrimage.
The whole family.
And can you tell us a little bit about the pilgrimage? Where did you go, and what was that like?
There's lots of course, main pilgrimage, Tibetan, all Tibetan, the Buddhist people says holy site in India. That's the way the Lord Buddha Shakyamuni was born, right?
Yes.
But on our pilgrimage in Tibet is the most in the south, and then Sakya is the most holiest place, one of. And then the Pamasambhava's caves, and where he built monastery like Samye, and all of those we go. We just go take off if you certain year, your age, certain your obstacle year, and so forth. So I went pilgrimage with my mother, aunt, and some other group. We went together, some 20-some people. I was the youngest one in the group. So we went about 3 months just walking all over central Tibet and west, and visiting all the monasteries. So that's where we went pilgrimage.
So when you say, Dagmo Kusho, that you went on pilgrimage, for people who don't appreciate what that was like when you were a young girl, maybe 14, 15, can you tell us, what were the conditions? Did you walk? Was it cold? Was it exhausting? You were going up and down mountains in Tibet. So please describe the conditions.
The pilgrimage is you kind of really, which is Tibetan color, you wear really some warm, but it's not dress up, no jewels, no. And so little sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's what you do. And you walk. Only it's to go circumambulation, some special places, and to pray, and much as you can do prostration, and some pilgrimages do with prostration from body length, go all around, and sometimes months takes for reach from East Tibet to Lhasa.
So they stand up. Describe for people who have never seen it, what a prostration entails.
Prostration, when you do the prostration, you have to visualize Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, these two pujan, and then your body give that.
Your whole body goes out flat on the ground.
Yes, flat on the ground. That's the jangsa, they call it, the walk. But when you visit the temple, you don't really go hold. You can do just knee down.
Just knee
Either
down.
one is okay.
But on the pilgrimage, when you do the length of the body, and then where do you start walking again? Where the body ended? Where the hands ended?
When we went to pilgrimage, we did not do the on the road. Only where the temples are, each temple or some statues, caves. We did those 3 times or more. But walking and then pray.
And then
Always you have to, voice is always praying, mantras, and thinking of you're doing something good for yourself and benefit others, and meditate, and you try to get blessing and help for all others. That pilgrimage time is you really do. And sometimes I feel like I'm, my age, I'm pretty healthy because of the pilgrimage.
Really kept you in good shape.
Yeah.
But even though your mother had you milking cows and learning household things, you weren't a nomad's daughter. You weren't out in the field. So what happened to your body, your feet, when you were walking for day after day? How was that? What happened to you?
When we started from Lhasa to Samye, which took 3 days,
Yeah.
and your walk, Samye is all sandy, river with the river, and then a lot of sand. You suck, and I got really sore, my legs. It was very hard time, and we had one horse to carry our food, and the needs. Then my mother put me on a horse, and I felt kind of bad in that length. Maybe I missed the pilgrimage. You have to walk.
I see. You had to walk.
But I didn't go a second time.
But you did. But what happened was your body was not used to that kind of walking. You were young.
I think it's okay. I think your mind. Everything you think you're doing, everything good.
Okay.
You really, during the pilgrimage, you don't get sometimes food long time, drink a long time. You have to drink cup of tea, you have to make fire to take hours to make.
So you're very motivated.
Yeah, motivated.
Very motivated. No,
motivation is very important.
I just meant at one point you had to ride on the horse because your feet were in trouble.
Yes,
You
the
had to-
swelling.
Yeah.
And we don't have the proper shoes either. The pilgrimage, you just the one sole.
What do you wear on pilgrimage?
There's like boots. It's one layer on bottom,
Just
it's
one
not-
layer of leather on the bottom?
So sometimes I think like a pilgrimage time, the days you walk and hours you don't, when we escape to me. Today, when I go from here to California, they don't give you food, I complain. But that's just a couple hours. But those times, you don't get it. Just river a little bit, drink water.
And that's it. And you made it. So what happens? You do these pilgrimage, and then do you meet anybody along the way?
Oh, yes.
Who?
There's towns, sometimes we have to ask them to help some food for horse buy, or sometimes we ask some kind of you need like zamba to buy, and some people are very nice. They treat the pilgrimage special because these are the we give life for the religious cause. They feed you, they give you very, very nice, very good. And like I said, I was youngest in the some. My mother told me later, some of the families, they wanted to keep me. Why taking this little girl suffering? We want to take good care.
Oh, how sweet. They felt compassion for you.
Right.
Is there somewhere along the way, do you get introduced to your future husband, Dagchen Rinpoche? Do you meet him on the were you on
No.
Where do you meet him at, and how old are you?
I was 15, I think. I was
You were about
15.
15? Do you remember the meeting?
Yes.
Can you tell us?
Well, they were in Dagchen Rinpoche's father and the whole family were in Lhasa doing some special pray for the Tibetan government, and then returned. And I visited with my uncle, and uncle's waiting for receiving the teaching. So my uncle took the whole our family, to meet the Dagchen Rinpoche's father and whole family. And when we do, we bring so lots of offerings and gifts and all kind, even the horse and all the animals, all kind of gift we visited. Yes.
You know, before we go on with that meeting, it is. I have often heard that many gifts are brought by the people to monasteries, to spiritual leaders. You know, why do people give such expensive gifts? Because horses, jewelry, gold, why are these given to the religious teachers who are not, you know, they're not kings, they're not trying to become wealthy, they want to become spiritually wise. So why do the faithful give all this
Because
wealth?
in the Buddhism says that his teaching is so precious, it is priceless. So you want to give us something special, you will gain some kind of your blessing. And that's why, and the feed, and most religious teachers, even they have all the richness, but it's still in the Buddhist temple, goes there.
It goes in the
instead
temple.
of for the family cause.
I see.
Goes in the Buddhist, building in the Buddhist, building for religious, use so many things to all for benefit for the offer.
I see. It's made as an offering,
Yes,
and then
that's
it's
right.
used to build and
Yes,
repair the monasteries.
Yeah, not giving like some lawyers or some political leaders. That goes for family.
Yeah,
That's different.
that's different. That would be like a salary
Yes.
or a
And how they
fee.
use, that's exactly how use. If you receive it, use good use for the benefit, for building and making books and charity,
yeah.
then is for help for the giver and yourself.
That makes sense.
We don't use ourselves.
The intention and the
That's
use
right.
of it that
Yeah, right.
follows. The intention is to
Exactly.
to help the monastery and the teachers, and then the use is
use for good use.
for good use. Great. So back to you were, you went, your uncle went to visit Dagchen Rinpoche's father, who was very famous
Right.
and a great teacher, and your uncle went and you were with him. And so did anything take place? Were you introduced to Dagmo Kusho, or
Oh no.
I mean
No,
to Dagchen Rinpoche?
No.
No.
No, just the Dagchen Rinpoche's sisters and the mother. His mother was there too, and a niece. Myself. It's just family introduction. That's all. Blessing.
all it was.
Usually Tibetans don't introduce that kind of. You notice.
Right. Yes, they don't.
No.
Okay. And then what happens next in your life?
Well, because His Holiness Sakya teaching was very busy, and lots of his religious work, and my uncle had to wait for a while. Some teachings, waiting, and they put us his summer palace for my uncle, and we stayed there. And meanwhile, we had to wait there. And Dagchen Rinpoche has, like he said, he has 5 sisters, and 3 of them. The one is young. 2 of them is almost my age. So they go study, and then after study, play. I become playmate. So that's, then of course when they go visit with his brother and things, that's how
You went along.
Went along with and stayed with them in the palace. We went so many times.
And then continue. What happens in your life next?
And then Dagchen Rinpoche, I didn't know exactly, but Dagchen Rinpoche sent his, my mother is only with me, and my uncle, and I didn't have father with me, right?
Yeah.
So a tradition in Tibetan, and to get permission, he sent one of his secretary with a writing letter. So my uncle Dagchen Rinpoche, can you give me your niece? I want to marry. And he wrote that to my uncle, and my uncle didn't know what to say because he is the, Sakya lineage. I cannot refuse. But what the parents think, and he can't say no, he can't say yes. And then this secretary didn't know what letter he brought and said, I want to answer right now. So he said, of course, whatever you wish or something. I don't know exactly. But then Dagchen Rinpoche got happy because he got some permission. But his mother was strongly rejected.
She was not pleased.
No, of course not.
Did she have a reason why she was not
Of course,
happy?
I was just a young Khamba girl, don't know much education.
Right.
Don't even speak their language
Yes.
because completely dialects different.
Yeah.
I was just a young girl, and I thought I want to go home.
You were just
I was
visiting.
just right.
And she thought, oh no, you're not a good match for my son.
There's no way.
But it sounded like Dagchen Rinpoche was determined.
Yes. I think he almost fought for.
He almost fought for your hand in marriage against his mother, and she finally
because
gave
she already had a others arrangement already.
with somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of awkward.
It's a high noble daughters, princes from other, like Sikkim. Oh, she already had.
Oh.
Of course, every mother have that.
Of course. They try to make a decision, and then life changes everything.
Yeah.
So in the end, did you marry him?
Well, he didn't give up.
No.
So he said, I think it. And his father he went to father. He told me he went to father. If father against, then he will have to think, because his father is his root lama and everything. Father says, it's your life. That's whatever you wish. Then he really got permission for that.
So the father put the responsibility of the decision back in him,
You understand, it's
in
yours.
his hands. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, so then Dagchen Rinpoche told me he went to his mother and told her, if I can't marry the Kham girl, me, and then I will never marry, I'll become monk. So she was very hurt. Yeah. And she couldn't give up that. Yeah. His older son post-marry.
Right.
He was the older son.
Because he was the oldest son, he needed to marry to carry the Sakya lineage. And if he became a monk, the line would end.
That's the line. So then she gave up. She had to give.
So he was a very strong person to stand up to his mother. And so, how old were you when the marriage took place?
I was 16.
You were only 16.
Yeah, I was a child.
Can you remember? You were a child, of course. Do you remember the day do you remember the ceremony?
Yes, I remember very well, because we lived, Sakya is but maybe a mile, or maybe more than a mile from palace to where we live. Okay. So they came really, really early in the morning with a horse, few of the government officials with a horse riding, and to get me from my place. So in the Tibetan wedding, it's not easy. You have to check the astrology. There's so many things, the timing, and all kind of the pray and special ritual you have to do. And they've done everything. And then they brought me a horse, which is, I'm crazy about a horse. I love the wild horse.
Kampa girl.
Yeah, the horse they brought was just like that, hardly move like a cow. So I was sad for that.
He hardly moved. He was like
it's not jumping like.
They brought you a safe horse.
Safe horse, because I'm wearing so many jewelries and 2 men each side. So then I thought, today on I have to ride this kind of horse.
On my wedding day.
Yeah.
What kind of horse do you wish they had brought you?
A little better. A
wilder horse. Because you knew how to horseback ride.
Oh, yeah, I loved the horse. I lived with the horse.
Oh.
In Tibet, I loved it. And so I remember very clearly when you out to step the door out, all the officials lined up and horse riding. And there was this is early in the morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning, I think. There was the such a village people come to the river to getting water,
Yeah.
to carry in the big bucket, and so they all filled the bucket coming in. So this is a good sign. They said that everybody give a kata on those people. They didn't know because it's sacred.
Yes.
It's in the Sakya family when they brings a wife in, and it's supposed to be very sacred.
Yes.
They don't want publicity.
They don't make it public.
Because it's not good for public. And then a month later, then they celebrate.
I see.
So these people didn't know why they're getting kata and who is this, like, you know.
But
That's what I remember.
But it was they were carrying water, and that
Yeah,
must
filled
have
with
been
the
seen as a good omen.
Good woman filled the water.
And so here they're given a kata.
Yeah, kata
they have no
on the-
idea
yeah,
why. By the
so
royal
then after we arrived to the Phuntsok Phodrang in the palace, and it's, when walking in, and we, like he mentioned, there's two big dogs are barking us so badly. And I remember one of the caretakers said, "Don't bark, this is your owners coming," like, you know, talking at the back there, because they bark forever. So then we went straight to the golden room to Dagchen Rinpoche's fathers. And then he gave a blessing, purification, and a new name, and so forth.
Tell us the new name he gave you.
It's my in Tibetan name is Jamyang D.
And what does that mean?
Which means Jamyang is Lord of Wisdom, which is such a current lineage emanation of the Jamyang.
Lord of Wisdom.
Lord of Wisdom. Pema is lotus.
Lotus.
Paris means all. Puti means bring sons.
Oh, bring sons
Sons.
to
To Sakya family. Yeah.
to the Sakya family.
Jambi, Manjushri family. Yeah.
To be fruitful and have children. Wonderful.
Yeah, that's the gift.
Oh, that was quite that was the private wedding.
That a public wedding, just the family and officials there.
Yes.
And very early in the morning. Then a month later, this big celebration.
The big celebration. So, you went from being somewhat an unusual girl, that you
Very,
were educated,
very unusual.
and unusual to be taken from Kham.
Come to just regular.
How
very
far
happy.
away by days, by travel, by horseback is Kham to your family home?
We,
to
when we
Sakya?
left from Kham with the yak,
Yeah.
traveling yak,
Yeah.
it took over a month, almost 2 months.
So you were almost
Far
a
away.
month away from
It's
your
just
home.
other end to other end.
From the other end to the other
But
end.
I was born with a very, very religious family.
Yeah.
Family, and my ancestors who are the religious leaders, tukus, and all the, the family be. So I was raised with a really religious family, and my mother, aunt, and grandma all.
Do you think that helped Dagchen Rinpoche want to have you as a partner? Because
I don't know that.
you don't
part
know
of
if
it,
he knew.
but I don't think so. But
Yeah.
it's really, it gives it lots
of
of
interesting.
blessing. That's how I would say the blessing.
It was a blessing.
Blessing.
Yeah. Okay.
But what you're doing, the older son project, this project, and with His Holiness' wish and his permission, I think this is great benefit, because even today, young Tibetans don't know, and how we lived, how we raised, how happy Tibetan was. And so, and there's unique culture, and it's lots of positive things. And sometimes they think maybe Tibetan is too much superstition, but it's not. I still, my age, we still do things, important things, astrology or definition. We just don't jump things do. So it is so important, and this younger generation have to learn this. And so my benefit is because the older people, their mind. And we had such a peaceful, happy time with my youth, because many Tibetans, like I told you, especially girls like my time, there's no school, but learn from grandmother to grandmother, And every evening they teach the stories. And I remember when the fall time we have sitting in the field looking at the stars. My grandmother knows exactly star names, what the times goes what. And this, the year-round seasons. And so those are so unique. And then it tells all kind of stories for children, very good stories for animal stories. I tried to write down, then I stopped because it's too much. And anyway, I think this project will really help for not only for Tibetans, I think it lasts for world. Because we live in the fast world, they don't even think, only thinking for tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. It's not, have to sit down, think. And I would, in Buddhism, we say if something comes with a causative condition, of course, and you think really not selfishly, it's just help others, you always get the good things. And so this is you're helping others, not you doing yourself, and helping lots. So and I was told when I became, of course, a little understanding better, I was told if something comes bad in your life, just think removing part of your karma. It may be something you did wrong last time or something. If something good, this is blessing from Triple Gem or Tara. Think that. And then I tell my students, think that. Always don't blame something your practice or dharma. Right. Because we have to live this, this is most important is like His Holiness, my religion is loving compassion to others, not self. But most important, I tell my students, you have to take care of yourself and self-esteem. Like for yourself, you're a very intelligent lady and you want to help others. And if you don't take care, you can't help others. I'm really special. I'm really, how to say, can help others and myself too. Thinking if you don't have strong self, this you have to have. And of course you can do anything you want to. It's just I can't do. I don't say I can't do. That's like even my life. I just tell people, yes, you can do it. You can do it. We are the freedom living condition here. You can't do lots of things like under communists. Lots of you, I see those interviews from the old ladies. I saw DVD you sent Adrian. I was crying.
Did you cry?
It's true.
Yeah.
Those are all true. But now we have, opportunity. Yeah. In the Tibetan saying, like I said, is sixth realm universe. Human realm is the most have opportunity. So in the Buddhist teaching said, whatever you are, whatever you've done previous life, that's why you're here. Whatever you want to be in your hand.
That's a good teaching. That's a beautiful teaching.
Yeah. We cannot make people to become Buddhists, okay, because their own wish. But if somebody really believe, or have a devotion and things, then our duty is teach what we know. Yes. That's why I'm teaching.
Yeah. What's it like to be there's so few women teachers from Tibet. What's it like to be teaching as a woman?
Well, in Tibet, there's a lot of yoginis. And for example, like my aunt who's 94, she all her life, if she was 4 years old, became Buddhist. And she does morning to night practice. But she doesn't really teach, just do, pray. But for example, like that, and because there's so many lamas and monks, the kind of men, world. And not really, unless special request, then they teach. But I was pushed in with the Tengu Chense Rinpoche, and you probably know the Tromba Rinpoche, Tromba, Sumu Tromba, who is Colorado Lama. And they asked me, you have to teach because you have the most receive training and everything, qualified person. So in the West, there's lots of women like to receive from a woman.
Yes.
So I refused in the beginning. And then many of my students wrote letters. I said, I didn't have permission from my teacher, and my teacher never told me to teach. So they wrote letters. My uncle and other lamas says we want to receive teaching from her, but she wanted to teach because you didn't give. So they brought back answers. See here. That's why I started.
That's why you started.
Yeah, I started.
How does it feel to be teaching?
It is very good. I realized I noticed the benefit lots. For example, I tell you one.
Please.
I was helping translating my uncle and some those times hippie, lots of hippies, and they come to their boyfriend, girlfriend, don't get along, lots of things. So my uncle has a translator, Tibetan monk, and he doesn't really tell exactly. He just said she needed help. The uncle said, "Okay, I bless." Right. Then several times I went. Then one day I said, and my uncle said, "You're not answering their question." He said, "What?" And they have different problems. You know, the relationship. And of course, they both lived with the monk. They don't know anything but that kind. And then uncle said, "Why don't you tell?" So I was doing the kind of counseling, some students, counseling, and it helped a lot.
Did it?
In their relationships.
What kind of advice would you give people who are having conflict in relationships?
Relationship, most it's just you have to think yourself. You don't look only at the other person. The look has to be not fight back right away, and not argument. You have to think.
You have to understand yourself.
Understand
what your feelings are.
Your
why.
problem or their problem. Who knows? You know, if don't get along, don't get along. That's okay, but you don't have to argue. You don't have to fight. It's just nicely, happily.
Yes.
It's just always like I'm right, you're wrong. That's not. That's not what the human. We all. I see all human beings, the race, age. I see it all the same. No different. Everybody wants happy.
Yeah, it's true.
Everybody wants a peace in the world.
Yeah, I know. Even the Chinese.
Yeah, even Chinese, they inside because their policy can't help it.
They can't. I know.
It's so lots of Chinese. I have lots of Chinese students, and you know they have not allowed their policies so bad. Otherwise, there's lots of things they have. You know, inside they, we all want a peace.
Yes. In fact, that's a good question for us to maybe wrap up on. What do you wish, if you could talk to the Chinese people from where you are and your whole life experience and your Buddhist wisdom training, what would you want to say to the Chinese people, to the next?
I would say especially the closest relation with the Tibetan and Chinese, very close race. Many connect, especially the Sakya, with the Sakya Lamas, their emperors, their teacher, was very close. We are same person. But most, I would say, Chinese people, please give a peace, live along. The Tibetan people give a peace. I don't recall freedom, Tibet, but give a freedom of what they wish. And to live, taking good care instead of dominating.
I see.
That's what I wish.
You wish.
And they are all, many Tibetans are Buddhist. So when you are Buddhist, you
Chinese
have to
are
help
Buddhist.
the other. Chinese are Buddhist. So, for example, like when I went in 2006, I went to Manjushri Mountains, all the 5 mountains I went. And my Lama, my friend, Sakya Lama, his student came. and all the transportation, everything, hotel was paid. And I said, what? This, who's giving? They don't want to tell. Then you can see there is Buddhists there. They cannot helping the Tibetan Buddhist woman, but all paid. I was very, very. I said,
It was paid for by the Chinese?
By the who drove us or whatever.
Whoever drove
Chinese,
you around?
Yes, Chinese students.
Chinese students paid.
But they don't want to tell.
Right, I understand.
So, only thing we can do, pray.
Okay. Well, you have given us much wisdom. May we have a blessing from you for this project? What do you wish?
You. Well, I wish and I hope this project will go well and to reach all the world, especially in the Chinese, and they understand better in humanity and human right.
Human right.
Yes, just we all are human, so we all want to be happy, happiness in the world. That's all I like to wish.
Thank you. That's a beautiful, beautiful ending. Oh, thank you. Okay. Dagmar Kukshu, thank you. A beautiful interview.
Welcome.